Good day, everyone! We are Team 9 and our group consists of Albano Rian Jake C., Karaang Angeline M., Domingo Angel Ann E., and Gonzalez Christian JC. And for today's video, I will be presenting to you the stylistic analysis of the literary work Essence by Jose Claudia Guerrero. For the first part of the analysis, we have here the close reading of the literary work. This is a distinctively written short story by Jose Claudio Guerrero that primarily narrates the conversation and meetup of two longtime friends, the main character in a first-person narrative, and Patrick, who are catching up in a coffee shop along Katipunan Road, which was seen in paragraph 1. The characters are part of the LGBTQ community and university students before. During the span of their chat, they both share their romantic and personal loves, which it was the content of the story. The story also shows how deeply infatuated the main character is to Mark, which can be seen in paragraphs 27, 28, and paragraph 46. The story also shows how the narrator is obsessed to Mark where he imagines things. This imagination leads him to sexual sensation. The story also depicts some realities of the LGBTQIA plus community today, one of which about sexual encounters of gays. In paragraph 44, Patrick pronounced exactly the common scenario of gays having sexual intercourse with straight guys. Guerrero used both characters, the narrator and Patrick, through their conversations with each other to give the reader an idea of the setting and the overall mood of the story. Guerrero also was able to show that both characters were very close to each other. Through their actions, like that of Patrick jokingly gesturing to the narrator that he'll stab him with a fork if he doesn't talk. Overall, Guerrero's use of his characters masterfully transports the readers fleetingly into the everyday world of the narrator and Patrick, making the reader nostalgic of how it feels when they're catching up with a good friend. For the next part of the analysis, we also have here the overall interpretation of the literary work. The short story depicts a conversation between two friends, the narrator and Patrick, who are part of the LGBTQIA plus community. They talk about their previous encounters with boys they are attracted to. The narrator showed deep attraction and obsession to the guy named Mark. This extreme obsession led him to suffer from depression and to imagine scenarios that never happened in reality. Moving on, we are now with the different linguistic and stylistic features of the analysis. The first one is the pronominalization. In paragraphs 1, 4, 20, and 49, the author of the story used we and our to refer the two main characters in the story. This entails that the narrator and Patrick are in a place together to catch up with each other's recent happenings. Hence, it indicates that they are indeed friends talking with each other. While in paragraphs 2, 4, 5, 8, 9, 11, 28, 30, 31, 32, 38, 42, and 44, the writer used the pronoun he, his, and him to indicate the gender of Patrick, the friend of the narrator. The noun boy was used as a pronoun to expose the gender of the narrator. These pronouns were used by the author to prove that the two friends are males. Furthermore, in paragraph 38, Patrick called the person he is talking to his best friend, following with the pronoun his, which all pertain to the narrator. Hence, this further solidifies the fact that Patrick and the narrator are friends who are having a conversation in a cafe. In paragraphs 6, 8, 9, 12, 10, 27, 28, 39, 42, 44, 45, 46, 49, 52, and 53, the author of the short story used masculine pronouns to emphasize the gender of the individuals whom the two friends are attracted to. Carlo, who Patrick likes, is a male, and Mark, who the narrator likes, is also a male. This entails that the two friends who are also males are attracted to their same sex. Therefore, the two friends are indeed part of the LGBTQIA community who are talking about their previous encounters with Carlo and Mark. Now for the next linguistic feature, we have here the repetition, which is subdivided into two parts. And the first one is the semantic repetition. In paragraphs 8, 39, and 41, and Patrick took a deep breath. The rest is for me alone to know. I paused and took a bite from my cake. And what happened next is for me alone to know. These lines indicate that the main character's friendship with his companion was not based on thorough revelation of their story, leaving the rest of their story mysterious. This is seen in both sentences as Patrick, his friend, humorously refuses to elaborate on his sexual encounter with the person he met in the urinals. The narrator, on the other side, uses this statement to insinuate that he and Mark had engaged in sexual activity. This supports the conclusion that the narrator simply used the same statement again to let Patrick believe in his own experiences by keeping the story shorter. The next one is the repetition of the name Mark, which can be found in paragraphs 28, 42, 44, 49, and 52. The repetition of the name Mark in the story shows how the narrator was really into Mark. It amplifies how he was obsessed with him that he even notices Mark's scent, haircut, and cigarette butt. Mark's essence grew with him deeply. Next linguistic feature we have here is the parallelism, which is also subdivided into three parts. And the first one is the parallelism to obsession. In paragraphs 44, saying Mark and his cologne, Mark and his new cologne, Mark and his crew cut, Mark and his burnt out cigarette butt. This passage, which uses the same syntactic structure, was chosen to emphasize the narrator's obsessive interest with Mark. In paragraph 44, the main character's obsession with Mark is explicit, since Patrick understands every minor detail that the narrator told him about Mark. Furthermore, the use of parallelism leads the audience to deduce that the narrator is smitten with Mark. While in paragraphs 46 and 53, it was foregrounded by the author by paralleling it to obsession to galvanize the idea that the narrator is indeed obsessed to Mark. He even smoked an already used cigarette of Mark. Moreover, he went immediately to the urinal where Mark peed just to see his pee mixed with Mark's pee. There, he admitted that his body is still untouched, contradicting to what he has told his friend that something happened to him and Mark that caused the loss of his virginity. Next is the parallelism to depression. In paragraphs 16, 18, 14, where the cake is mentioned, cake was parallel to depression. The author used this food to indicate the depression that the narrator feels when he is thinking about Mark. Patrick presumed that the narrator was having a depression by ordering a cake as a method of coping for his mental problem based on his previous experiences. It appears that the narrator is dealing with a mental problem that is a result from his obsession with Mark. Although he denied that he is not depressed, circumstances say that he eats cake whenever he is depressed. And the last part is the parallelism of experience of the two friends. In paragraphs 8 and 52, the author embedded parallel situation or experience of the two friends with the boys they are attracted to. They both experience being smiled at by the guys they are into. It can be drawn in this parallelism, and by the way they stare to the guys, that there is a truly desire that the two friends are having towards Mark and Carlo. Next linguistic feature we have is the figures of speech. And the first one is the hyperbole, which can be found in paragraph 49, saying, Patrick pinched me as I smile back. My ears are burning. There is no way that ears can be burned by just a pinch given by someone, right? This figurative language was put in order to emphasize the emotion of the narrator when he saw Mark. This strong emotion of kilig suggests his further obsession towards this person. Next figure of speech is simile, which can be found on paragraph 46. This statement, it's like we've shared something, like a band, falls under simile because the action that the narrator had done claims it is their bond together with Mark. what Mark touches, and the way the narrator also puffed the butt of cigarette that Mark uses, the narrator believes that when he does that, they are just like having a bond, but in reality, the bond he is claiming is just his imagination. Now for the last linguistic feature we have is the transitivity. On paragraph 8, Patrick took another sip after adding that he met a cute guy on campus, following which he said that the said person went inside the FC urinals. The story becomes more vivid and intense as a result of this activity of explaining it. Furthermore, the act of drinking implies that a sexual action took place in the urinals. It is possible that the manner he sipped was not done by chance, but rather undesigned in order to make the narrator more attentive. After sipping, Patrick proceeded by saying that the guy turned to face him, giving him a full glimpse of him in all his splendor and smiled. He then took a deep breath, as if composing and soothing himself from that degree of sensation. Because he needed to breathe heavily, the story took on a more intense tone. Patrick finished his story by dabbing the sides of his napkin to his mouth, indicating that he had finished a section of his story and had already cut himself off from the topic. While in paragraph 39, saying, I paused and took a bite from my cake. When the narrator also revealed himself from an encounter with Mark in a parking lot, he sought to heighten the suspense in his narration by hesitating and taking a piece out of his cake, implying that something between them occurred that made him cognizant when Mark appeared in the coffee shop. And there you have it, everyone, the stylistic analysis of the literary work Essence by Jose Claudio Guerrero. Once again, we are the Team 9 and we wish you good day.